So we're going to bring up our next author. Jackson Potter is the staff director at the Chicago Teachers Union, a longtime educator and organizer in the city of Chicago. His subject is called The Cost of Toxic Bank Deals. Thank you, bro.
Thanks, Tom. And of course, Tom gets the airbrushed photograph that's the most embarrassing. It's cool. That was a weird photo shoot that day. So yeah, my name's Jackson. I've been a school teacher for the last 14, 15 years. Worked for the union the last 6. And the piece in the book is really about how the city and the school district has gotten hoodwinked by big banks to the tune of $1 billion plus over the last 13 years in these terrible deals known as tax interest rate swaps. And they get really complicated. Like, I'm not a certified economist. I could go into some detail around how auction rate securities are attached to these swap arrangements, but I'm going to give you a very simple, popular explanation that I think suffices and it is sufficient for us to fight back. It's like tips. What Tom's done on tips. It gets tricky, but we get the gist, and we can fight back and get that money. I don't know if you all saw this recent expose where Rahm was busted out for having called all teachers virtually illiterate in an email. That wasn't really the story, though. If you look who's on that email, that's the story. It was Rahm, Melody Hobson of the George Lucas fame and that terrible thing they wanted to build. Sam Zell's wife of the Tribune ownership. Ken Griffin, the richest man in Illinois and a hedge fund flash boy. And Penny Pritzker, a billionaire heiress, who was also the first billionaire appointed to the Chicago Board of Education by Rahm when he came into office. What we've got, folks, is a plutocracy, in the making. Whereas you had the machine who were corrupt through patronage, and they came up through neighborhood organizations. Now you actually have the elite running these institutions. It's no longer, you have the front men who come out of the communities they serve and do the bidding of the banks and the richer people. The actual rich folks are taking over the institutions. And when you look at CPS in particular, that's becoming more evident in the policies, the decision making, and who's in charge, and who's driving those decisions. There's 2 things that have really put the school budget on the precipice of collapse. If you look at the comprehensive annual financial reports over the years, those 2 things are charter schools, so privatization, and debt service, the fees to bankers. It's not pensions, it's not employee costs. Those things have actually gone down as a percentage of the overall budget. There are cumulative costs debt and pay that have piled on because of pension holidays that they've taken. But the 2 things that are really driving it are these things. So when you look at the debt service side, that's really what this article is about in the book. You had David Vitale. Anybody know him? Familiar? Yeah, he was president of the school board for many years. He had 2 different terms in office under Duncan and then under Rahm's school board he was appointed. He's a banker. He also sits on the board of United Airlines that got tens of millions of dollars in TIF funds. So he's got a double-edged sword in terms of harming the classroom. And he's the one who's the architect of these terrible bank deals. And what the deals did is, starting in 2003, they took these bank arrangements, and the district took out variable rate loans. So like a house, you can take out a variable rate loan for a mortgage for your house, right? So it'll go up and down depending on market conditions. So the district does this, they get a variable rate loan, and to offset the risk that the market presents, they make a side deal with the banks and say, give us a fixed rate that we can pay you, and you will pay the variable rate. And that way, we'll come out better if there's any market volatility. The problem was the banks knew the market was going to crash when they were making some of these arrangements around 2007 or 2008. And what happened to interest rates after the market crashed? They plummeted. And so just the Tribune's most conservative estimate about what this cost the school district alone, not counting the city side, not counting the state, $100 million is the most conservative estimate, because So in addition to the fact that they couldn't refinance, which cost them $100 million, they've also now got to pay the fees to terminate these swap agreements. They've got to pay the extra prices that are attached to, you know, the manipulation of markets like LIBOR. And so we're talking about $1 billion plus just on the city and school side. So imagine what you could do with $1 billion. You know, you wouldn't have to be talking about 1,000 layoffs. You wouldn't be talking about ballooning class size. You wouldn't be talking about eliminating sports, music, PE, you know, art classes across the district. Librarians are almost an extinct breed of teacher these days. And you could be talking about the schools our city deserves, our students deserve. So, you know, just to talk through the final piece of what we're dealing with now, you all know that a strike is a possibility.
Yay!
You all know that the mayor is trying to impose these draconian cuts on our schools. And what our big bargaining team and leadership, you got Jerry Skinner in the room, who's a leader at Kelvin Park High School, they're saying no more cuts, you've cut enough. They're saying we need to maintain class sizes at a level that is humane for students so they can learn. And you need to close these loopholes, so no more charter expansion, no more privatization, no more school closings. Student-based budgeting is increasingly starving schools at the local level. That's got to end. It's pushing veterans out of the classrooms, destroying black teachers and their careers. That's got to stop. And guess what? There's an easy way to solve for a decent contract that has those things, that restores the cuts and expands investments in schools across the city. There's a $300 million difference between our proposal and what the mayor claims he needs. That money can be found in the TIF fund. You know, they could release that money in a capital fashion. We have an ordinance that's in City Council right now. 41 aldermen have signed on to it. And I encourage you, please call your alderman, tell them to pass the CTU TIF ordinance. The sponsors are Sue Garza, our own sister who came out of the classroom in the 10th ward, and George Cardenas, of all people, my alderman in the 12th ward. And he said very eloquently, you can't tell people they're going to pay more for less. And that's essentially what you're doing now in the schools. So, you know, if we can fight together around this TIF money going back to the schools, and then work for the long-term interests of our city and our children by demanding, you know, collective bargaining with banks. You know, New York, LA, and Chicago came together and demanded that they stop breaking us over the coals with these toxic swaps and renegotiate the deals. If we sued them, if he wasn't so cozy and Rahm actually sued them, he could claw back that money. We could have a fair tax system that adequately taxes the wealthy, that would, you know, transform our schools and public services for the benefit of all. We could have a financial transaction tax, so these villains and criminals like Ken Griffin and his friends on Wall Street stop creating a piggy bank with the public trust and restored it instead. Thank you.